Türkiye kendi tarihsel süreci içinde bakarsak aslında çok ciddi bir gelişme içinde. Yani çok büyük bir dinamizm gösteriyor aslında bu son 20 yılda. 80 öncesiyle kıyaslanmayacak kadar da dış dünyayla daha bir paralel gelişmeler yaşıyor.
I'd say the most important change has been the change from an inward-looking to an outward-looking society. All this, the process of liberalization and in the later process, whole issue of European Union brought a kind of new stage, new process to the higher educational institutions in Turkey. And when we look at the last 10 years, in fact, both the private universities and public universities in Turkey very much integrated into the international environment.
Starting from 1990s, the scene of Turkish higher education and research has become more and more global.
Dünya bir konuda, bir problem alanında bir şey çözmek istiyorsa, bunu bir sorun olarak görüyorsa, biz de aynen dünyanın parçası olarak bir sorun olarak görmeliyiz ve onun çözümlerini dünya ile beraber geliştirmeliyiz. Ve o üretilen dünyanın malı olduğu kadar bizim de malımız olmalı.
Higher education in Turkey, I take it as I say, preparing people or educating people who can read the world correctly. Reading the world means being able to read not only the political and social happenings, but also the technological advances.
Scientific and Technical Research Council of Turkey, TÜBİTAK, is really funding research seriously since the last 5 years. And also Turkey is a member of the European Union in science and technology at least.
Even though the amount of resources that have been provided by the government in recent years has increased a lot. The main problem is the human potential. I mean, the amount of researchers in Turkey is much less than the numbers available in West European countries.
Funding is only one aspect of this change in what we may call a rapid change, a dramatic change in the research environment in Turkey. There are other aspects, and one of them is, of course, the increasing internationalization of social sciences in Turkey.
What is very interesting here is that some of the universities have high international standards. And for me personally, when I came here to Bilkent, the interesting thing was that I was together with so many foreigners. And it was such an international environment that I really enjoyed it, to get this exchange, to have this kind of context.
The dominant trend in Turkey, in Turkish academia, was to do one's graduate study in the United States. So the majority of the academic staff here in various universities in Turkey have completed their graduate studies in the United States. But interestingly enough, this trend is changing slightly but surely in the last 5-6 years, because more and more of our students are actually wanting to pursue their graduate education in European universities.
Maybe the last 5 or 6 years, it's really recent. Interest in Turkey has exploded in Holland, and many departments and institutions who
had nothing to do with Turkish studies, but would, for instance, be economics department, public administration, agriculture, engineering, all kinds of things. And they suddenly became interested in starting up links with Turkey.
The European Sixth Framework and Seventh Framework has increased our relations with Europe and has changed our orientation, certainly to Europe, especially in comparison to United States.
Turkish universities are getting closer with the European universities. For example, with the United States, some of the Turkish universities has established a joint undergraduate program with the SUNY system of universities. But with European universities, most of our collaboration is on the master and PhD level. We are trying to develop joint or dual master and PhD programs.
The Turkish scientific community, the universities, the Turkish scholars, specifically the young scholars, they are more and more becoming part of this European scientific community. Now Turkish scholars are doing more research in collaboration with mainly scholars from Europe.
Turkey has lots of collaborations with Europe, not only in biomedical engineering area, but in all other areas also. Not only in Europe, actually, also with United States, and also China, Japan, or India. There are lots of collaborative research going on.
Bugün artık problemler, teknolojik problemler o kadar büyük boyutta ki tek bir kurumun, tek bir grubun bunların tek başına üstesinden gelmesi mümkün değil. Kurumlar arası işbirliği de buna yetmiyor bazen. Onun için bu türlü uluslararası işbirliğinin yapılması gerekiyor.
In education, there are already existing ties between universities in Turkey and abroad, especially in Europe, through exchange of students and faculty, because the European Union already has modalities, exchange programs.
Again, reading the world properly. A Turkish student, if he travels abroad, will see his shortcomings. By the same token, if a German, English, Dutch, whatever student comes to Turkey, they will see their shortcomings.
This gives, of course, a tremendous dynamism. You know, seeing in your class students from Norway, from England, from Germany, from Holland, sort of with all the background that they bring. And I think what we're sending abroad, our students are also adding to the richness of the makeup of the classroom there, wherever they're going.
One and a half million students go through an entrance exam every year. They are ranked, and we get our students from the first 700. It's a pleasure to teach these students. It's a pleasure to work with them. They are incredibly talented. And also the fact that they are coming from modest backgrounds is an opportunity for us, because it makes them to have a drive to succeed.
So we have a potential of a very young scholarly group coming. So this is an important advantage. Second advantage is that we have come to a critical mass of scholars with compatible skills in Western Europe that will be able to collaborate and compete in the Western and American United States institutions. So we have accumulated this critical mass now. So we are young, with a critical mass and compatible knowledge. I think for any country, this is the best combination that could have happened.
One of the reasons why Turkey is such a promising country to work with in higher education is that you find this enormous desire on the part of young people in Turkey to look beyond Turkey, to look abroad.
Turkey has a young population, and if you look at the researchers in Turkish universities, compared to, for example, European universities, they are younger. They are very energetic, and they are willing to take risks, willing to enter into competition.
When we look at particularly in recent years, all these publication record of the academia, for instance, we see the Turkish scholars becoming quite visible in the international arena.
Turkish social scientists, I think, have a lot of know-how, experience, good judgment, sensible criteria about politics, other social fields.
The Turkey's greatest potential, perhaps, in this respect is its dynamism, the social dynamism. That's very important. And the second one is perhaps the hunger for success, for glory. This is also a social phenomenon, and Turkish people is really hungry for success at international level. And the third one, perhaps the important factor or the potential, positive potential is, or maybe, the efforts of the younger generation to create a common language.
Turkey is a very dynamic country, and its people are very dynamic, and actually we have lots of very young researchers, much younger than in other countries, in European countries.
Biggest strength is that we have a very enthusiastic, young undergraduate and graduate population.
Turkey is a gateway to Central Asia and Middle Eastern countries. And we would be very happy if our European partners also become the nodes of these networks. Then we will be able to bring Europe, Central Asia and Turkey in the technology and science development programs.
The power of Turkey is that there is this highly motivated people who would love to share, who would love to be involved in it. And you hear from Europe lots of times, we are lacking of this and this kind of stuff. You have this potential here. It's there, you just have to take it.